Good afternoon, everyone. It's David Schlotthauer here with another detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion for Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. In this tropical weather update, I am going to give you the very latest information on Invest 94L, as this is likely to become our next tropical storm, or if not even a hurricane, in the next 10 to 15 days, as this moves generally northwestward towards the Dominican Republic, as well as portions there of the Bahamas in that time period, while we're also keeping an eye on Invest 93L, as this could come very close to Bermuda in the next 7 to 10 days. In this update, we'll be breaking down all those details on who's going to get impacted and how big will the impacts actually be. But if you haven't been here before and you do find these tropical weather outlook and discussions very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell notification icon to get latest detailed tropical weather updates here on the YouTube channel. So with that being said, here's a look at the latest satellite imagery across the central Atlantic for this afternoon and evening. And as you can see here, we have Invest 94L that is impacting the greater and lesser Antilles tonight, bringing a lot of rainfall, strong thunderstorms, some gusty winds associated with that tropical wave. And this is the one that models have really been aggressive on recently, uptrending, with the possibility of this becoming our next tropical storm, if not even a hurricane, in the next 7 to 10 days. We are also keeping an eye on Invest 93L out here towards its east, that is also headed towards the west-northwest and the northwest. And this could become our next big hurricane out there in the Atlantic in the next 10 days. So right now, the tropics really heating up very quickly here with two tropical waves that we have to really pay close attention to. And of course, it being September 23rd here, this is about the peak of the hurricane season. I know the official peak was officially on September the 10th, but in relative sense, this is the month that we see the most tropical activity out there in the Atlantic. And so we have to be ready if there is going to be a named storm impacting your location anytime soon. And that's what we could be seeing here in the next couple of weeks as we're tracking these waves. Now, here's a look at the latest 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. And as you can see here, we have 3 areas lurking out there in the main development region of the Atlantic. Actually, really only 2, but we have Gabrielle that formed out of the MDR. That storm is still formidable. Category 4 with 130 mile an hour winds, moving to the east-northeast here at around 21 miles per hour. And again, is still a very powerful Category 4 hurricane and will be impacting the Azores Islands here in about 3 to 4 days. And because of that, there is actually hurricane watches out for the Azores Islands because of this hurricane. So please take shelter. Please get preparations underway, because this is going to be a pretty intense hurricane with winds that are around Category 1 to Category 2 intensity. Now that for another day, because we have 2 other areas here on the National Hurricane Center website that we are watching really closely. Of course, Invest 94L is getting everyone's attention, and that's because, well, it's going to be the one that impacts land more than Invest 93L for the time being. This has a 60% chance of tropical development in the next 7 days. That is a medium to high chance of that occurring. So keep that in mind, that chances on this are about to go way up very quickly because of its organization. Now we have Invest 93L that could also become a threat to Bermuda over the course of the next 7 to 8 days here, potentially. This has a 90% chance of tropical development in the next 7 days. So yes, Gabrielle is pretty much on its way out towards the Azores Islands in the next 7 days, while we're keeping an eye on these 2 other areas of interest. And yeah, the European model is doing something a bit crazy and unexpected with these 2 waves. As matters of fact, let's take a look at the latest 12Z European model 850 millibar vorticity plot here at 5,000 feet above the surface. And this is exactly what we're looking for here. Here is Major Hurricane Gabrielle with that footprint of lots of red, lots of dark red colors, indicating very strong spin in the lower parts of the atmosphere. Here is Invest 94L lurking across the northeastern Caribbean, including the Leeward and Windward Islands. So that's the one that we're watching. And then here is 93L back in here that is following or kind of doing a little copycat masterpiece here with 93 or 94L, 93L, 94L. I want to make sure I got those correctly because boy, they do look similar in itself. So what is 94L going to do for us over the next 7 days? Well, with that being said, let's put this into motion here on our latest European model over the course of the next couple of days. And as we can see here by Thursday morning, September the 25th, 2025, we can clearly see there is 94L trying to bundle its energy up a little nicely here under a rather low to moderate shear environment. We have 93L that is looking a little bit better organized here in the course of the next couple of days with that vorticity. Very similar with its track with Gabrielle, moving basically in the same general direction here, but only it consolidates a little faster here. So in about day 4, by Saturday morning, September the 27th, we have a very strong tropical storm here with winds of at least 50 to 60 miles an hour. Then, of course, 94L is trying to get its act better over the southeastern Bahamas. And this is right over the islands, people. This is over the Turks and Caicos where a lot of people live. This is a touristy area, nice and beautiful there. I've seen images, great area to vacation, and gonna be very nasty. Lots of thunderstorms, gusty winds, you name it. Nothing serious yet with that system, but it looks like it's gonna consolidate for us in the next 5 days here. So by Sunday morning, we have a formidable hurricane perhaps on the Euro here with winds that are at least 70 to 80 miles an hour. And then, of course, 94L getting better organized. And again, that is for Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon here on the 28th and the 29th of September, we could be looking at 2 intense tropical storms or hurricanes here on the 12Z Euro. But we all know beyond 5 days, things can get a little murky. And just to show you how uncertain the forecast actually is, if we look at last night's 0Z Euro model, we can see this system right here was clearly a lot faster, and our system down here was a little slower. If we look at the 12Z output, you can clearly see things have changed, and this is only 5 days out. So this is not a set in stone forecast, but I'm warning you that, boy, this would be a monster here developing over the Bahama Islands, perhaps, and to the northeast. So as we go out to day 7 on Tuesday morning next week on the 30th of September, we end up having 2 intense hurricanes here, 94L and 93L, showing themselves off towards us as forecasters here, showing us that, boy, 2 hurricanes at the same time. Yeah, we're going to really make up for this slumber party here in the Atlantic. We started with Gabrielle. Now it looks like 2 more on the list coming your way. And then as we go out to 10 days here on the Euro, again, extremely far out in time. So there's a lot of uncertainty here. And because this could impact the Northeast potentially, I'm not going on beyond 10 days. And this is through the 3rd day of October on Friday. And you can see there a powerful hurricane there turning off the coast of the Carolinas, well off shore at least. And then just in between Bermuda there. But look at how this moves. This kind of wobbles all over the place. So again, there's a lot of uncertainty exactly who's going to get impacted by 94L. But there are some early signals that this could be a monster potentially out there in the Atlantic. Now, looking at the AI version of the Euro here, because again, I like to compare all of the models with you all here in today's update, and we can see the AI model also a little aggressive here, especially with 93L over here, more consolidating, but consolidating our system over the Bahamas a little bit more than prior model runs. If we look at last night's 06Z run, you can see there has been a trend to a stronger system in the last 4 model runs from the AI forecast. You can see that we have 2 potential tropical storms here in about 7 days. That is Tuesday morning through Wednesday morning of early next week, or the middle of next week. That is the 30th of September through the 1st of October, potentially. So let's take a look now at what the Canadian model is showing. Is the Canadian very aggressive? Well, let's take a look and find out your answer on that, because yes, it is also aggressive here in the next 5 days. Again, tropical storm, if not hurricane, here over the Bahamas. Tropical storm, if not definitely a major hurricane, perhaps over the southwestern Atlantic with 93L. Again, I don't want to get you all confused. 93L here, 94L here. Okay, so those are the players that we're watching really closely over the course of 5 days. And then by day 6, day 7, one tries to become more hybrid, like a subtropical-like system as it moves very close to Bermuda and over Bermuda, while one tries to hang on for dear life as a hurricane there, also potentially hitting Bermuda. So the Canadian here, worst case scenario for Bermuda with a 1-2 punch, very much possible. So let's take a look now at our 18Z GFS model. I did not want to forget about this one because, again, I like to compare all of the reliable global models for you all because this is a delicate situation that we're dealing with. And so the GFS model, very similar here, showing this one trying to pivot around this primary one that is 94L, 93L up here. You can see it slingshotting and getting awfully close here to the mid-Atlantic coast of the U.S., all right, while we have 94L that tries to pinwheel around. So, again, very wild scenarios here shaping up on the latest GFS. Models are just not handling this very well, but our signal is something big could be developing around the corner with one of these two tropical waves. Either 94L becomes more dominant than 93L, or 93L becomes more dominant than 94L. One of those two are going to win the battle, and if one of them wins, it could be a big deal. All right, so what is the environment looking like with these tropical waves? Well, looking at the Euro here, since it's more consistent amongst and more reliable overall than the GFS, because the GFS has been going all over the place with this. In fact, if we go back and look at the GFS, you can see here in 5 days, it has two systems here, one system there, and it's just going all over, okay? So there's a lot of uncertainty. So when we look at the Euro, lots of moisture here surrounding 93L. 94L has a pretty good moisture pocket to work with and a lot of latent heat release to work with too. And that is why these two could end up developing here. There is some drier air on 94L, which might lead to some issues at further development. However, 94L, that I got that right, 93L over here has a better moisture pocket because we have 93L or 94L to the southwest on the upshear side. So we end up getting a little more moisture with that system. If that makes sense, right? But some crazy stuff happening on both of the models. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. Vertical wind shear. And take a look at the upper level winds. You can see 94L is not going to be in a super ideal position for development here. You can see a little bit of southerly flow, but the system is gently moving to the north here at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So this would not be a very strong vertical wind shear, but you do have this trough here. So that could encroach a little bit of drier air and some baroclinic dynamics where we do have a little bit of vertical wind shear, but at the same time with baroclinic dynamics, we can get a little bit of forcing over the system in a thermodynamic footprint and kinematic footprint where we do see some development nonetheless, versus 93L here underneath that subtropical ridge. And so therefore it's able to develop a little bit more better. So when we now take a look, and sorry, it's very hot in the office today. It is actually 101 degrees outside right now on this fine first day of fall. So when we look at the Ensemble models, and we're starting with the AI models from Google DeepMind, and you can see 93L here, very aggressive on the Google DeepMind, showing a major hurricane very likely on this particular plot from the FNV3 Google DeepMind Ensemble AI forecast. And then, of course, a pretty strong signal coming from 94L. So, yes, anyone off the coast of Florida over the northern Bahamas needs to be watching this system very closely. The Google DeepMind generation model, very similar. Lots of model support here on 94L and 93L. So again, we're really going to need to watch exactly how these interact with each other. How close does one get to the eastern U.S.? Because if one makes landfall as a formidable hurricane, then we're going to have problems to deal with for sure. Now, when we look at the European ensemble, trends have increased on the European ensemble in recent runs as well over the southwestern Atlantic on 94L. And then, of course, on 93L, also a bit of aggressive signal there showing some members indicating major hurricane development is not entirely off the table. And then, of course, don't get confused. This is Gabrielle out here. So, and then more additional development beyond that. So yeah, the tropics really waking up quickly here. When we look at the GEFS ensemble, also some signals out here in the deep tropics, again, with additional, development with these two tropical waves out there in the southwestern Atlantic from the GEFS ensemble. Now, of course, Invest 94L has a lot more warmer water to work with than Invest 93L, at least in the short term. You can see sea surface temperatures here, actual sea surface temperatures in the mid to upper 80s across much of the Caribbean and the southwestern Atlantic. So we really need to watch Invest 94L very closely as sea surface temperatures here are extremely warmer than average. When we actually look at the sea surface temperature anomaly plot, you can see lots of orange here indicating that sea surface temperatures, the departure from climatology right now, the departure from normal, are above average. So that means 94L has a lot of latent heat release to work with and a lot of moisture to work with for where it can develop pretty quickly without warning. So we cannot turn our back on 94L just yet at all. Even so, models are all over the place with it. 93L too is going to be running into a patch of warmer than normal sea surface temperatures, even more warmer than it is right now. Now, on top of that, when we look at our upper ocean heat content map, let's go to that. This is the actual upper ocean heat content, and you can see lots of heat energy surrounding 94L out ahead. So as it develops here and goes kind of this way, it is going to be running into a lot of this upper ocean heat content that is pretty rich. That means warm waters are not just at the surface that are shallow, but they extend deeper and deeper down into the ocean, into the subsurface. So that is why we need to pay close attention to 94L closely, just in case if it gives us a big, ugly surprise, given the fact that this hurricane season has not been too bad at all. No landfall. Well, only a couple of landfalls, a couple so far this season, but that can change without warning, and we have to be ready for that. Upper ocean heat content anomalies are above average across the Caribbean and the southwestern Atlantic. So again, that is why I am concerned about 93L and especially 94L, since that one is going to be moving over the Bahamas and over the far western Atlantic. Now, really quickly, I did want to show you all the global tropics hazards outlook right now, as there is a low chance of tropical development through October 7th. So that's in the next couple of weeks. So again, we are getting into this active period right now that we will need to watch the tropical Atlantic a little more closely, at least through the first full week of October. But by the time we go into the second week of October, that is October the 8th through the 14th here, through the middle of the month, most of the chances do shift over across much of the northwestern and central Caribbean into the southern portion of the Gulf and the eastern Pacific, where we could have significant tropical development potentially. But most of the chances right now are going to be occurring in the next 7 days. So with that being said, we are going to keep a very close eye on Invest 94L and Invest 93L in future updates here on the YouTube channel. So if you are new to the channel and you haven't been here before, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification icon so you can get daily tropical weather updates. Because of the evolving situation that is pretty concerning right now, I will be returning to daily updates. Every day I will be keeping you all updated here on the tropics. I know I've been updating every other day, every couple of days, but that has since changed because of the 2 waves that we are watching closely of right now. So again, if you have not subscribed, share, and like, please consider doing so, because we may need to pull off a live stream if necessary if this evolves very quickly. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you more tomorrow.